One of the things that's critical to the success of almost any organization is teamwork. This paper, The Quality of Group Tacit Knowledge, speaks directly to teamwork. It's a brilliant paper that's made a huge difference in the way that I teach teamwork, but it requires a lot of explanation because it doesn't have teamwork in the title, not even in the abstract. Instead, it's focused on this word knowledge. So the question here is, what do people on the team need to know about one another to be able to work well as a team? And how do we evaluate whether they know those things? It's going to help if we make a distinction between tacit and explicit knowledge. Explicit knowledge is the kind that can be codified. It can be put in an equation. It can be put into words or symbols. Explicit knowledge is easy to share through writing or through code, but tacit knowledge is only shared through experience. I'll give you an example. Explicit knowledge would be the recipe, but tacit knowledge would be the taste. You can follow the explicit directions to make a cake, but you don't know what it tastes like until you have the experience of the cake. So this paper suggests that high-quality tacit knowledge is essential to types of teamwork. And how do we know when we have high-quality tacit knowledge? The paper creates a scale for us. It's a figure. And below a certain line, it doesn't even use the word team. It instead calls people without a minimum level of group shared experiences, group tacit knowledge, an assemblage. And at this level, the people, they can't even follow instructions together. For example, when I walk into my lecture hall on the first day of class, and it's an enormous lecture hall and people are seated all over, if I say to my students, fill in the seats in the front rows, typically nobody moves because they don't know each other well enough. Just follow instructions. The typical student will look to their left, look to their right and say, am I supposed to move? Are they supposed to move? They're further in the back than I am. Maybe that's the empty seat that should be filled in the front. Until a leader emerges in the group, nobody can even follow the instructions. It's not a matter of not knowing what the instructions mean. Everybody understands what a vision of filling in the front rows looks like, but they don't understand who are the students who are going to fill in the front rows and how will they coordinate one another's seat taking. One level above is what the authors of the paper call collective action. Collective might not be the right word. They don't mean socialist action. They mean coordinated action. That is, people are capable of following instructions by coordinating one another's movements, one another's responses with each other so that nobody is working at cross purposes. One level above that is what the authors call phronesis. So I'm going to use a sports example or a music example to try and make the distinction between collective action and phronesis. A symphony, for example, they're all playing to the sheet music. They know their parts. They're all tuned to the first violinist, and they're capable of acting in this collective way. They are further put together through the instructions of the conductor. That's the music example. The sports example might be a football team. The play is rehearsed so that each player on the football team knows their position and knows their responsibilities when the quarterback or when the coach calls a play. But at a higher level, at phronesis, the team is capable of deciding. They have a wisdom, capable of deciding whether these are worthy instructions. Here, the team can follow instructions, but at a higher level, the team can follow intent of the instructions. They have their own judgment to know what the conductor intended or what the coach intended, and then they are able to work towards the intention even if it departs from the letter of the instructions. Finally, at the highest level of group tacit knowledge, you will find teams that are capable of collective improvisation. These are the jazz musicians. This is the basketball team or the soccer team where the action is continuous, and sometimes you just know where your buddy is on the court without having to look, because you played together. You have so much shared experience that you communicate almost as if by telepathy. When you have a level of group tacit knowledge, a level of understanding of people on your team, when you're able to make it up as you go, and every move you make together is the right one, that's the highest quality of group tacit knowledge, and it's an incredibly satisfying experience for most human beings to have. It's rare in a university environment for student teams to operate at this level, because they rarely have the kinds of shared tacit experiences with one another that let them get to that collective improvisation, and they're typically disincentives in the university to do anything but follow the instructions. Often, when graduates leave the university and enter business, one of the things that we hear employers complain about is that the graduates lack the skills necessary to work in teams. We can change that in the university by creating group experiences, but there isn't time in a lecture hall. So we need other tools that are going to help us learn about one another, perhaps in explicit ways, so that we can work at this higher level of teamwork where we understand intention and where we can improvise together. I'll tell you more about those in another video.